Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Workshop, Employee Handbook Review, Article 4.
Okay, you should have either a copy in your packet of this section, or if you'd like an extra copy of the handbook, there's some up on the table up here. This is the longest section, so I just wanted to try to work our way through this to see if there are any questions or comments or recommended changes. But Article 4, I took all of the random things that had to do with working and being hired and resigning and that sort of thing, scattered throughout the older copies of the handbook. I tried to incorporate it all into one section. So in the beginning, and I'll be referring to the page numbers at the bottom there, so this is page 12 out of the handbook. At the beginning is the typical standard non-discrimination language. Section 4.1 is the hiring authority, which is helpful to understand that in this structure of government, the hiring authority is not the administrator or the department head. The hiring authority is you, the commissioners. And so every place that I thought would be beneficial, I tied the state statute into that. So if anybody ever had any questions, the state statute's there. The hiring process, this has been pretty consistently the process since I've been here, as it starts with the commissioners authorizing a job posting to fill a position, and then the interview and process that goes along with that. So that pretty much covers the rest of page 12 and 13. On page 14, you add in information on probationary periods. Unless it's different in a collective bargaining agreement, and I don't think it is, every employee here has a 12-month probationary period. And so that allows, basically that right to discharge a person without us being subject to dispute. Then I added the information on performance evaluations. This, again, is language from your existing policy. I just wanted to put it all in the right spot. Handling performance evaluations. They're not tied to compensation. They should be done by the department head. And there is a section on the top of page 15 about unsatisfactory evaluations. And there's a whole section in Article 10 on work rules and discipline that I refer to there. Any questions so far? So that's the hiring process, all of that 4.2.
Is that a standard, I know it's in the old handbook as well, but 12-month, is that a standard? It seems long to me.
It is. I generally, where I've worked, new employees have had a 6-month probation.
If you don't know by 6 months, you're never
Right.
gonna know.
And I think for consistency, because corrections officers have a 12-month, the police officers have a 12-month, that would be my guess why we've had that consistent across the board.
So we shouldn't,
I'm not in favor of changing it.
Okay.
So, yeah. On page 15.
Tim,
Oh, yes, Joe.
Tim, on the performance appraisal,
Yep.
are there outlines in each department that cover those sorts of things? Where, you get, say, a new department head comes in, how do they know, what the performance is supposed to be?
So in HR, we have copies of all of the templates for performance review. So the department head doesn't have to make up one. We have one for those, and they're kind of coordinated with the job descriptions and whatnot. And then a department head can request to look in a personnel file to see copies of old evaluations to kind of see where the progress is being made and so forth. Does that answer your question?
Thanks.
Okay. All right. On page 15, there's information about promotions, seniority, anti-nepotism. That is all taken from the existing language. As you get to page 16, this is where the commissioners had worked through some different scenarios So I've actually tried to incorporate a lot of that language in here. For example, the existing has very little, if anything, on terminations, and I think we need to have some language about what happens if a department head wants to terminate someone. But also in resignations, the first part there. Resignations are deemed accepted immediately upon submission. They may not be withdrawn without approval of the commissioners. About the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth paragraph down, commissioners may acknowledge the resignation of a non-probationary employee at the next meeting. They're not required to take any action on probationary employees, those in their first 12 months at a public meeting, and that's from state statute. Then, should the department head seek to provide terms of separation for an employee outside of those listed in the policy, those terms must be approved by the county commissioners. This is the other part where we mention an exit interview. We do have a process, and HR does send out a letter to every employee that leaves with instructions on how to provide feedback through an exit interview. So, any questions on resignations? All right. If not, the next section is on terminations. There's a difference between a probationary and a non-probationary employee. Again, they do not require just cause within that probationary period. After the 12-month probationary period, it's a little bit of a process, and we've been working through this with department heads and with Peter Marchese. So essentially, if a department head comes to a point where they wish to terminate someone, and if it's a severe enough situation, they can put that person on leave to wait for the commissioners to take action. But because you, the commissioners, are also the appellate, the appeal that an employee can come to, we don't want to work that process too quickly, making sure that the employee has their due process. And so I think this is basically saying in this policy that this is a combination of the department head, the county administrator, HR, working through this process of making a recommendation of termination and then finally bringing it to the commissioners after that due process is done. Any questions on that? If not, on page 17, there's a section on job abandonment, how a department head would deem that a person just no call, no show, and never got back to us, so we assume that you have abandoned your job.
Tim, can I, I'm kind of a slow thinker here, can I back up a little bit? Just on this termination thing. If, let's say, someone is terminated, let's take union out of it for a minute.
Yep.
And we go through this process, and at some point they want to complain about it. They have a right to
Right.
bring it to our attention.
Right.
Is that, but they're not actually terminated until we approve the termination.
Right.
So then they go out and they come back in and they say, I want to have a hearing on this, even though you approved it already?
Ideally,
How does that work?
if you, and most of this conversation will happen in an executive session, and so that person would have the opportunity to have this, they're basically, the way I see it is they're appealing their department head's recommendation to terminate. So all that would happen at the same time. It wouldn't be an after the fact.
Okay, so our decision encompasses any
Right.
grievance,
Right.
litigation, complaint, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That makes perfect, thank you.
Okay. Oh, let's see, page 18, just a note about section 4.9, political activities. I did have to go into the state legislation to find out this confusing thing in case an employee of the sheriff's office wants to run for sheriff. There's certain parameters that have to be followed in state statute there. I found it interesting, to say the least. Court pay, 411 is training and mileage reimbursement. A few years ago, the commissioners, instead of just approving mileage every year, the commissioners just approved to keep it consistent with the federal, whatever federal mileage reimbursement is. So that's in there. Also, information about tuition reimbursements if you further your education. So we even got into 413 workplace attire. I think I thought the best line I found on this was, present yourself in a professional manner that results in a favorable impression by the community. So I thought, okay, that's a pretty good way of saying it. 414, health and safety. We are working with the Maine Municipal Health Trust to develop a wellness plan for employees. And so Leanne and a couple other folks in the courthouse are working on that. And of course, there are the requirements of reporting, what happens if you do get hurt, and how often or how quickly you need to report that to HR. All right, 415, substance abuse. I pulled this from another policy. I don't think we had all this information in our current policies on this. So there's paragraph 2, an employee who displays any signs of impairment or substance abuse, or who is in possession of alcohol or illegal drugs, with the exception of when it's part of an employee's official duty, is subject to disciplinary action, including suspension and/or termination. And then employees are prohibited from reporting to work or working while using illegal or unauthorized substances. I know some of you had questions or thoughts on that. Is that the paragraph that you had?
It was the first paragraph.
Okay.
Which is under the influence of illegal substance on the job. Impairment, the last sentence.
Yeah, we probably should just cross out illegal.
Or being under the influence of a illegal substance.
Right.
Because you could be under the influence of a prescription medication that
Right.
affects your ability.
Yeah, so if you just remove the illegal.
Yep. Okay. And I did add in here in 1, 2, 3, 4. No, maybe it's not there.
And what's the definition of substance?
You know it when you see it.
Okay.
Good answer.
No, I had that in the smoking policy. Okay, on page 21 is the workplace smoking. Again, we've had most of this in place for a while. We always seem to have to add e-cigarettes and vaping and that sort of thing. The last paragraph on that section there, Somerset County understands that in the state of Maine, responsible use of marijuana and tobacco products are legal, and further recognizes that by state law, an employer may not require that employees or prospective employees refrain from marijuana and tobacco use when not at work, and will not discriminate against employees who use these products outside of the employment. Now, I did add this last line, that employees of the Sheriff's Office and Somerset County Jail must adhere to their department policies regarding tobacco and marijuana use, because there may be some different languages in that regard. All right. Home stretch here. Fragrances in the workplace, that seems to be become more sensitive over the years, and I think this makes a good point. So, use of vehicles and workplace privacy. So that's pretty much Article 4 of the handbook. Any thoughts, comments, questions? If not, we'll keep on moving. Thank you for your edits, and we'll incorporate
A
those.
little question about the mileage of
Yep.
the federal rate versus,
State.
when I was recently working for the state, we were always rumbling because the state didn't pay the same mileage.
Not even close.
So, and we're choosing the federal rate as opposed to the state rate?
Yep.
And why is that?
That's what the commissioners decided to do.
Okay.
And the commissioners can decide to do something else.
Well, I'm not saying, I don't know what the actual numbers are. I think it's,
So right now, the federal rate's 67 cents a mile. I haven't checked the state rate recently. It's always hovered in the 45 to
Yeah.
50 range.
so,
You don't know.
They up to 58,
Okay, that's more competitive.
thinking it's.
But to your point, for years, it was like 44%.
Yeah.
44 cents,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, we here actually used to follow the state rate, but when the gas went through the roof, that's when they changed it to the federal rate.
Okay, just curious. I mean, if they're closed now, there's no reason to make a change, I'm sure.
Oh, any other questions on the employee handbook review? Moving along, all set? Matching grant discussion?
So I'm glad Commissioner Stetkis is here. He wanted to speak about this, that's why I didn't put it on last meeting's agenda, but if you have that page in your worksheet that's got a little breakdown like this is some of the things I've been thinking about and working on. If you're taking this matching grant program and kind of expanding it, I thought this might be a way to go. And so I put 4 different categories down there. One for municipal-only grants. And this work is kind of based on what we've seen in these first 2 rounds of community benefit. So municipalities want safety equipment, they want emergency response equipment, they want a side-by-side that can get out on the trails with, emergency response. So that, maybe we should focus on that public safety aspect in one round of grants. Then if we did want to offer something for for-profit businesses, we talked about this about a month ago, maybe limiting the for-profit grants to a facade improvement, some way where a business is going to improve either the outside of their building, or they're going to improve something that has an impact, a positive impact on the community. And then if you had a category just for nonprofits, and again, I'm thinking about the resources that people are trying to protect, and that's what we're getting grants on. We're getting applications from historical societies wanting to, make sure they conserve historical resources. We're talking about lake associations and dams with natural resources, and museums and cultural resources. So maybe we have a section of the program just for nonprofits. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about public health, because the ball is starting to get rolling at the state level in regards to disbursement of opioid settlement funds. And right now, we're continuing to dedicate our opioid funds to the sheriff's office and the jail for sublocade treatment. How long that program is going to last is still questionable. It's a great program, but funding for that program may dry up, from what I've talked to the sheriff about. So we here at the county will get somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000 per year for the next 16 or 18 years. And so maybe a portion of that money could be set aside for those agencies in our area that deal with substance abuse. And maybe there's ways that they could apply for small amounts of funds to help, either Kennebec Behavioral Health or Somerset Public Health or a myriad of the other groups. So that's what my thoughts were. I've tried to take into account what we have in community benefit, what we may have coming in the future in the corridor TIF when that's finalized, and what we have right now and may have in the future for opioid settlement funds. So I invite your thoughts or comments on that.
John?
The corridor TIF, that would be UT only.
The corridor TIF would be UT only. Where did I put that? Yeah, I put that in the municipal-only grants, so it would also benefit anything in the UT. So.
Well, my other thought would be that this program that we've been doing, I assume it would grow, just because people find out about it. It may not grow too fast, but it would grow slowly. And we're not putting a ceiling on the amount of money available beyond the annual community benefit funds that we get.
But that's what I would recommend with this, is if you did go to a variety of programs, each program would have a cap. So the municipal only would be $150,000 in 1 year. For-profit businesses would be 50, nonprofit grants 100, public health 50. You know, those would be annual caps.
But why do we need a cap? Let's say in one particular year, the requests were all in nonprofits, and we didn't get much in the way for, you know, facade grants, so why couldn't we say, well, we'll just spend it all?
Well,
Meetings, matching grant proposals.
at the end of the day, it is at your discretion as to how to spend these funds. I was just trying to read the room of the commissioners that maybe you wanted to limit it and maybe have some structure around it. And you know, I can facilitate all four of these. It's not that difficult to facilitate these. We've kind of got the template going now, and we can facilitate these programs. You know, community benefit essentially has about 8 or 9 years left until that dries up. So I know it's a long time, and there may be another situation that presents itself where the commissioners will want to spend community benefit money outside of this grant program.
Tim, one thought on my part, and I guess before I get into that, hey John, if you could tip your microphone down towards your head a little bit.
Okay.
I'm only catching on half of what you're saying.
Well, you're not missing much.
Everything you say is so important, I wouldn't want to miss it. So on the form, this is actually helpful to me. I don't know if I would necessarily, you know, make everything firm where, you know, there's no way of changing it up, or like what I think what John was saying was if there was more need in one particular sector than another in a particular year, you know, move things around. But on the for-profit business piece, I'd like to discuss at some point the idea of when they apply, if they're looking to make improvements based on, you know, federal or state mandates. We have seen a lot of, you know, handicap accessible type stuff. You know, on the state level, especially when it comes to bathrooms and things like that, they're constantly changing. I would like to see that be part of this, part of that section. That would be a qualifier. If they're just trying to keep up with state federal mandates, us being able to help with that, I think would be, I would like that idea.
Good. Thank you.
That's excellent, thank you, yeah.
So any other ideas or directions, or what would you like to see?
Well, I think that we can be flexible
Yeah.
with these caps and shift funds from one section to the other. Yeah. Without any great issue. But this way it gives everybody a starting point and a feel for what we're going to do each year. So that we're not totally going into it blind. Joel, thank you, that's very good on the state and fed mandates, keeping up with that. But, I mean, flexibility, oh, go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, one quick question for Ted. So on the opioid settlement funds, there must be some sort of, you know, pretty tight criteria on what that money can be used for. We have that at our disposal.
Yes.
Patrick says yes. So I'm going to agree with Patrick.
He's not telling us what they are, but he says yes.
I
Okay.
can't. You're
I wonder if the added costs that we're using in the jails, if something like this would be, I can't remember what that particular product is called, if we're spending, what, $1,000 a month per inmate or more, if that's a possibility, that slide some of those funds into help taxpayers cover those expenses too.
Well, that's what we're doing.
So that's currently what we've been using our opioid settlement funds for, and the Sublocade program. Yeah, that runs, round terms, about $1 million a year just for the Somerset County Jail.
And I know from back a ways, there was some competing interest for that money from the hospital and public health outfits in town here, and we basically said, no, we're using it all in the jail, because...
So to that point, just so we understand, our contribution of the opioid fund money of that $1 million cost is less than $150,000 annually.
Right.
So the bulk of that has been coming from a program through DHHS. And when the sheriff reports to me about what that program looks like, they're having a harder time giving money to that program anymore. Because I think there is pressure coming from outside sources that it should be used in different areas, and there's a limited pot of money for this. So back to Commissioner Stetkis's point, this is all under the umbrella of what they call MAT, medical assisted treatment, and every jail is mandated by state statute to provide MAT. The Commissioners Association has been arguing with the governor's office, saying that is an unfunded mandate. You're requiring us to do this. We either have to get a grant or raise taxes to provide this medical assisted treatment. The state should be funding the jails because it's a mandate from the state. So that has fallen on deaf ears for years until last year. In the supplemental budget, the governor did agree to add $4 million sprinkled across 15 county jails to help with MAT. So the Commissioners Association is trying to build on that this year, maybe seeing if we can get the governor's office to budget for more of that medical assisted treatment money. So we'll see where that lands.
Further questions or comments? All set with matching grant discussion?
Thank you.
And I got a thumbs up from Joel, so we can move on to open bids for Somerset County Jail work truck. Let's see, is this,
There should be one envelope on your...
there's one envelope, and there's something else here, I didn't know if that was a bid or not.
Nope, those are just signature pages.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, let's see, here we are. What do we got here? Dun, dun, dun. Truck bid, 2024 F-350 crew cab, truck with plow, $70,000, $70,079.
So 70,089.
And then if we want the extended warranty, it'll be 73,979.
Okay.
Who's that from? Heights?
Those were Heights,
Okay.
So they have a...
Height Ford.
One's Heights, that's Height Ford, is that?
They have a trade
Yeah.
information.
Okay. Are they all, is
That's it.
that the only one?
It's only one.
Oh.
So this is a work truck for the jail as far as plowing, sanding, any of the other maintenance that needs to be done. It's not for transporting any inmates or anything like that. You were replacing, I think, a 2015 unit, and because of the nature of sanding with salt, these vehicles, the body will wear out before the engine does. So this is with, I don't know the numbers exactly off the top of my head, but this is within the parameters of what was budgeted for this purchase. So. And there will be, the net number will be lower because we'll be trading the 2015. So.
Is there actual body rot on the truck, or is it just,
I'm just going by what was reporting to me.
This certificate rust on it, because of the salt that stays on it.
I assume it has one of those yellow bins in the back,
Right,
plastic thing.
but still, you're driving on it, back and forth all the time, plowing back and forth.
Okay.
There's no mention of a trade-in on,
No, I asked the chief, and they didn't incorporate that in, but at least we have their figure, so it'll be.
And this was on the website for bids
This was
throughout
on
the state of Maine.
This was on the website for a month. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And we have reached out to others to say it's on the website, so.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that Heights and their two other dealerships didn't have something they felt would be,
We specifically RFP'd for an F-350. Yeah. So it could have come from any Ford dealer in the state. Yeah. So in your packet, there should be a copy of the front page of the RFP that we put out. So that was on the website.
there it is, posted.
Not to be difficult, is there something about a Ford that is better for sanding parking lots?
I defer to the jail administrator and the sheriff on that.
So just,
No, I mean, I think you're in the ballpark for all those different trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're looking for a heavier duty truck than they have now, so they can haul with it too. We don't have that hauling capability with our trucks that we have now, so that's why they were looking for, I guess it's a 354. But whether it was a Chevrolet or Ford, I don't think the price is gonna be a lot different.
And we actually saw that.
That price was
They-
identical.
It was only about $2,000 difference.
Any other questions?
Just these loyalties do run deep. I had to pick up my father at the hospital in a Ford, and he almost didn't get in. Because he'd only get a ride back on a Chevy.
okay. Well, it's good to know.
Okay.
Bright orange, too. He was selling bears.
And Ram remains the Switzerland of trucks. No public hearings. Public comment to allow members of the public to comment or reserve time to speak on an upcoming agenda item. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak or reserve time? Can't see. There's a whole line of people, I just can't see who they are. Aha. Seeing none,
Do I hear from the judge?
I think
He'll make his remarks during the department head reports.
Okay.
Okay, so, new agenda items, commissioners only. Nothing, Joel? Nope, thank you. And finance reporting.
We're getting closer and closer to FY 2024 close. We got one more warrant, and then we may still have some trickle ins. Of course, the auditors have to review it, they may have some changes, but you just look at the expenses of the three different funds. The general fund is currently 1.8 million favorable to plan. 1.4 million of that is due to labor savings. So roughly 75% of the savings that we got this year in the general fund, unfortunately due to open positions.
Yeah.
The jail is going to end the year at 1.9 favorable, just looking at the expenses. Of that, 1.6 million of that is labor. So roughly 85% of these savings at the jail is due to open positions. If you look at the UT is going to come in favorable by 61,000, and most of that is due to savings associated with snow removal, because we had the mild winter. Now, if you look at the overall, including revenue, the general fund will end the year at 1.7 million favorable. The jail will be at 400,000 favorable, and the UT will be at 226,000 favorable. Now, this all converts into an undesignated fund balance at the end of FY 2024 the general fund will be sitting at 5.5 million, which is roughly 3.8 million over the 20% that is, able to withhold. So that means that 3.8 million is going to be used for outer years to help keep the percentages down as we trend out, because we're trying to, we got roughly $2 million that we're pushing down the road, so we gotta use that to level out the interests throughout the year.
How does it change if we just eliminated some of those positions that year after year after year remain unfilled? So we don't get the favorable balances at the end of each month, but we don't have to raise as much money to fill the positions to begin with, so.
Right.
Which is better.
We actually did that a couple of years when it comes to the jail. As you know, when it comes to the COs, they're constantly turnover. We budgeted 2 years in a row, we budgeted for 36 CO positions. But in the budget, we only put 31, assuming that we always gonna have 5 open positions throughout. So you can do that in the sense of taking a look at the turnover, and if there's certain departments that have a higher turnover, you can take the risk of, budgeting less of the positions, but trying to actually fill them. Even though we budgeted for 31 positions, the jail was trying to fill the 36. And if they filled the 36, then we would run over budget. But we was trying to, decrease or try to come as close as possible to actuals. So we can do that in the sense of keeping the heads in the budget, but for cost reasons, budgeting a different number. For the jail, we ended the year, we had 3.9 million in undesignated fund balance. Of that, we utilized 1.7 million of that, so basically close to half of that to balance this current year's budget. And UT is going to be roughly at 600,000. Dave had to use roughly 100,000 of that in the current year's budget, so that's going to leave 500,000. When it comes to the UT, they're allowed to keep 10%, so they have to use anything over 10% from the next year's budget, or use it for capital projects and so on. And that's roughly 225,000 that can be utilized for next year's budget or capital projects. Any questions?
Any capital budgets for the UT?
What was that?
Any capital budgets for the UT?
Yeah, we have a bunch of capital budgets. What we usually have done in the past was take any surplus money and use it to pay down capital roads. That's our largest capital line. Sometimes we've had over $900,000 of expenditures out of our capital road account. So when we have an opportunity where we have surplus funds, we generally put it in that account, because if we don't even use it in the upcoming year, the following year we more than likely will. So that's where we tend to put any extra surplus funds that we have.
Thank you. Any other questions? We're all set?
Yeah, and this year, there's no big surprises. We haven't completed a full month, but everything looks favorable so far.
Chief Deputy Mitchell?
Calls for service last week, we had 491 calls. We've solved a couple major burglaries in the Ripley, Harmony, Cambridge area. Where an arrest was made. The guys are working on that today. And as far as the jail goes, we have several names are being submitted at this meeting for openings for CO vacancies. We still have another 5 openings after all the names are submitted, and ones that we're potentially going to hire. We still got 5 openings. And we're looking for a jail administrator.
Questions? All set? Thank you. Mr. Washburn, I'm going to save you for last, if you don't mind. Okay, Tanya?
Yes, I'd like to share the correct figures for these for end of year. Thank you to Patrick for keeping them straight. So when you add June revenue, everything is much more positive. We will be favorable on total revenue for deeds by $29,000. There was a savings of around $31,000 due to labor shortages. And we will end right around $62,000 favorable for the year. If that changes during the auditing process, I will let you know. And also, on a positive note, I wanted the commissioners to be aware that on August 1st, Arlene Demo will be celebrating her 30-year work anniversary for Somerset County in the Registry of Deeds. So it's a big deal to us. We will be celebrating her. She's asked that we don't have a party, but from noon to 4 on August 1st, we're inviting anyone who wants to stop in to wish her well and congratulate her. Please do, and there will be cake.
I was told there will be cake.
You'll be there.
I'll be there.
Thank you. Pavel?
And also, we work on multiple projects, like, so I will just list them, like two-factor authentication for Windows. I placed the order for Starlink for the jail, so we can test that over there first. Continue working on VPN tunnels, and getting multiple quotes from different vendors on the major project that we're gonna do both for the county, for all the core network upgrades. That's gonna be all the servers and all the networking equipment. And working on the keybox software upgrades at the jail.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dave?
A couple things. At the end of the fiscal year, FY '24, I look at my sign account for street signs and resupply what I've used during the year. The signs have come in, but the posts are still on the ground out there. But that would be my next activity in the field, would be going out and replacing all the missing signs. FEMA, I've been talking with FEMA basically weekly. We are making some progress there on submitting our claims for refunds. And there's no guarantee that anything is going to go through yet, but the absolute no we got on the Lexington gravel pit gravel being reimbursed for became, we're still looking at it. So we kind of got a step in our favor, but there's nothing firm there yet. The gravel pit license has been moved over to Troy Dunphy and Gary Dunphy to finish what I had done, because I did all the work I could do on the application, but there's a lot of actual gravel pit information that I did not have access to. So they're going to find someone to finish the application. The other thing we discussed, and Tim and I looked at this with John sending out his information on some of the legal things that were passed, the 1989 paper I read. And I was digging through and I knew that our TIF application was accepted partially with part of it held back in 2015. And then a couple of years ago, they sent me email. I had to send them this and this and this, and then we got full approval. And I said, great, full approval. So when earlier this year, we were looking at how to pay for the road maintenance and snow removal on the Camp Association roads, I said, we don't have to use community benefit funds anymore. Now we can use TIF. Turns out I was wrong. We cannot use TIF. So we need to make a journal entry with your approval to take money from community benefit, slide over to TIF, so that everything will be spent legally. And in the future, your decision coming up, probably in a meeting next month, will be to either continue the program with community benefit money or to end it entirely. But that's a decision the commissioners will make in an August meeting. So that's where we are right now. And I think we need to make that journal entry soon, Patrick? Yeah, we have the audit will be starting real soon, so we've got to have everything lined up correctly. The total amount is $12,591 that we need to switch from one to the other.
When you're ready to present us with that, then we'll have that be a resolution, and we'll do that at our next meeting, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Anything else, any other questions? Seeing none, let's see, and I have Judge Washburn.
So, do you want me to come up closer?
Sure, please do. We'll sit right here for you.
The reason I'm here is that my staff is getting concerned about their safety. I guess I am too. But I don't know if you noticed that society's getting a little more belligerent lately, and we've had a few issues in the courtroom. Just recently, people, I mean, I can control it, but we came close to blows in the courtroom the other day. And so it's time that we take a look, give this court just the same respect that we give the Superior Court. There should be a bailiff in the courtroom. There should be people checking for weapons coming into the building. And I'm just telling you, my staff is nervous about it. And I'm not quite so much, but I'm certainly here to stand up for them. And so I need to tell you that. So I'm hoping you folks will, I realize there's a lot of budget constraints and staffing at the Sheriff's Department that make this difficult, but the court's open 2 or 3 days a month for court. We're not asking you to do it every day, we're just asking you the days that we have court. And so I hope you'll consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Any questions?
Okay, so is this, are you still the same once every 3 week schedule for?
No, since I took over for you, I've done it every other week, but I had special assignments.
Is that an all-day event, or is it half days mostly?
Kind of was,
So the sheriff has court officers that gets a direct reimbursement from the state, so.
Correct.
So we'd have to get the sheriff to find somebody else to do this, and that would be an additional
So
position.
it is complicated in that regard, where you have the reimbursement. However, I think in the short term, and the other problem has been, we've struggled to fill those full-time positions for judicial marshals. But you'll have a resolution today to approve a full-time judicial marshal, and that will bring you to 3. And that's something we haven't had in a long time.
But that's for upstairs, that's for.
So let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
So Chief and I talked about this week. I think in the short term, we know the probate scheduling. So in the short term, if there's not a day where there's already Superior Court and there's somebody at the lobby, like next Wednesday is your next court date. The chief says that with 3 people now, we can arrange to have somebody here at that front lobby. Now, going forward, Patrick and the sheriff and the chief know that our negotiation with the state, as far as reimbursing us fully, is at a real tipping point right now. We don't know how long that's going to continue. But I think short-term answer is, I think we can have somebody at the lobby checking people in and somebody that can respond. Because I know that from my observation across the hall, if you've got something going on in the hallway, usually those people are right there, and then they can deal with it. If anything does escalate, like unfortunately we've had up in Superior Court, we do have panic buttons in all of those desks over there in probate that will respond to the comm center and then over to Skowhegan and PD. So, but I think I agree with you. I've told the sheriff, and we've talked about it months ago, but it probably just kind of fell off both of our desks. Having somebody on probate days is, I think, necessary in the building.
And we have our schedule spelled out a whole year.
For a whole year, yeah.
Now, I do have to add special assignments for cases that can't be done in a half hour. I need a whole half a day or a whole day to have a trial. Those are added in and not on the regular schedule.
Yeah.
But everything's in writing as to our schedule. The other thing we did was and it was probably because of COVID, but it also helps with security, is that we now have the people, instead of coming all in first thing in the morning, having a bunch of people here all day long, we try to space it out.
We schedule it, yeah.
And that seems to be working.
Good, good. So I think short term, we can address this. As we get further into negotiations with the state, we'll have to come to you with some, it's gonna cost the county to continue to have judicial marshals.
Judge, how many incidents like this that you described do you think you've had in the 10 years you've been doing it?
Let me jump in. In the year I've been here, 5.
Oh, okay.
See, I would have said less than that, but I don't see what goes on in the court, out in the hallway.
And I'm just talking about the hallway. I'm talking about Skowhegan PD having to be here. I'm talking about people with special needs that are under a whole lot of stress and they start to react poorly, and, you know, people have had to come out to address those. So it's been pretty consistent.
Things are much more litigious now, much more, it's amazing how people are just treating even their own relatives.
Yeah.
It's just getting worse and worse. As the years have gone on, it's gotten worse, and right now it's the worst I've seen it.
Well, my experience was that families either really love each other and are very supportive, or they want to do something with it.
Those days are gone.
So, especially when it comes to where they're going to bury old grandpa or something, it really gets them going, so. I'm sorry to hear
I
that,
haven't seen as
Scott.
much, I would have said less than 5 cases, but I'm sure you folks see more of it out in the hallway than I do.
So when
And it's safe, by the way, I just want to say the other thing, is that the safety of everybody else in this building is on the line as well.
Exactly.
You know, if you don't check for guns or something, somebody coming through the door, everybody's locked in here, we're all gonna go, right? So, I just think that we need to start looking at something that's safer for everybody.
And I just think a uniform presence, and for the judicial marshals, they're there in a suit jacket and a tie, and they've got badges, and so a uniform presence brings a lot of that down.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we had Skowhegan PD here is we had a very contentious case with an individual for custody and all that. And so we had Skowhegan PD just in the building just for that reason. Because we didn't have a judicial marshal that day, but we just needed the presence.
But if you have someone at the desk here, that person isn't going to do a wand or a pat down for weapons.
Oh, yeah, they will.
They have that capability?
Oh, yeah, they do it every time there's jury duty, every time.
I thought they did it down at this end.
No,
that
they've
other
got I watched TV all day. I just watched it.
Oh, now you told us.
Well, no, I know when Commissioner Johnson's here, needs to be let into the building, and so.
Okay.
Question related to this, and I know that the chief has said that once we have the 3 people here, we can have somebody up front, but is it possible that Skowhegan PD could provide an officer for that exact time?
That's a question for Chief Bucknam and Skowhegan PD. Yeah.
I mean, would be,
I'm sure that there would be a cost associated with that.
yeah,
And
So,
I just didn't know.
not to muddy, but if we had, on a probate day that's not an upstairs court day, and we have one of the 3 court officers there, the state doesn't reimburse us for that.
no, we can't submit that as ours.
No. So how does that get processed?
Taxpayer.
I talked to the chief and I talked to Patrick and
Because that would be an additional,
we find, in the current budget right now, we would just find it.
you find, okay.
Oh, you know, we do have a department called County Security.
Okay,
So it can be charged there. There's no budget there, but we can charge it.
Right.
got it, okay.
And we have a pretty hefty commissioner's line, so we just have
We got,
Don't touch the cake budget, though. As long as we have money in the cake budget.
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, before you jump into resolutions, can I just report on a couple of things?
Sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted the county to know that there was a petition from one group that wanted to represent the corrections officers to change from the Teamsters. They had their vote. They did it by mail, and so the commission, corrections officers voted to stay with the Teamsters. So I have not heard how that impacts the work that the commissioners did on that contract negotiation. So I hope to hear something, and when I do, I'll pass it along soon. And on a less serious note, the Skowhegan Riverfest Committee has asked to use the county parking lot right out here on High Street on Thursday, April 5th, or Thursday, August 1st, after 5:30. They want to use it for some staging for the parade that they're going to have. I told them it was after hours. They've already given me a certificate of liability insurance. And I just said, if you have horses, leave no trace. So, do you have any issues with that, or?
No.
You
have cameras anyway, so.
All right, that's all I had, thank you.
Okay. On to new business. Resolution 24-149 to approve the equitable sharing agreement and certification for federal drug funds for the sheriff's office. Is there a second?
Second.
A second. Any discussion?
Yeah, explain that.
Any discussion?
Chief, you know the ins and outs on this?
Yeah, it's an annual requirement.
Okay, that's-
Sheriff's already signed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good enough for him, it's good enough for me.
All in favor? Thank you. Resolution 24-150 to award the bid for a Somerset County Jail work truck 2024 Ford F-350.
Second,
Moved in second. Discussion?
we're gonna know the amount trade-in before we,
I don't know, we will know the amount traded before.
That would,
Do you want to accept the bid at the price that was given?
70,000.
Would you-
so that would be my
Yeah, they know
question.
there's a trade.
They don't know that.
No, they gave us a price of what the truck would cost without the trade-in yet.
Because without the trade-in, that's what they give.
That cost that you're looking at is without a trade-in.
Okay.
The cost we're looking at is without the trade-in, but the total cost also includes the extended warranty if we choose to go with the extended warranty.
Okay.
Does the warranty encompass fixing salt damage after 6 years? So I don't think we should go with that.
I wouldn't be in favor of the extended warranty.
Are they undercoating this truck?
Say again?
Undercoating?
I know they're putting that, what do you call that liner?
Yeah, I know.
Linux. I know Linux is going in it, but I don't know about the undercoating. I have to ask maintenance people.
My other
Tell them it's a deal breaker if they don't.
Yeah.
my
Probably
other
a good
question-
idea for with all the salt that's had.
Yeah.
It's in there all winter.
My other question would be, because I know that right now trade-in values for anything is really low, would it be more profitable to try to sell that vehicle and get what we get out of it in terms of what they would give us in trade? I was floored by the fact that they weren't gonna give me hardly $1 for trade-in on my Durango right now. And it's got low mileage and it's in great shape. So, just a thought, I mean, I don't know how we would do that, but the fact is, if we sold it, we might get more money than if we trade.
Who's gonna run that deal well?
Well, if we sold it, we'd have to put it out to public bid.
Right, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to,
Then you have the
$73,000.
Right. I'll vote in favor of this, but I don't think we should do it this way next time. I think we should not request a Ford when there's no reason for it. We ought to have a more competitive circumstance and ask for all of the, Dodge, Chevy, Toyota, you name it. There's a lot of perfectly serviceable heavy-duty trucks that can sand parking lots, which is the primary use for this.
I think our Ford has aluminum bodies now.
Yeah. I'm not sure the 350 does, but the
Yeah.
350 does.
Well, then that's a spec we could evaluate in making a final determination as to whether it's worth the extra money, if it costs more. I mean, I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me to,
We don't have to accept the bid, we could vote it down and go back out to bid for the full.
well, You're asking me to put up or shut up here. I'm not happy with it, but if the board's in favor of it, I'm not gonna, what can I do?
Well, that's the thing, and I'm teetering here because, the results are we asked for Ford, and I don't think that's proper bid process.
Right.
And I would remove my so move and table this until we go back to bid and do something different.
Well, I say that we vote it down and then go back to bed. So, any other discussion on that?
Chief, is it dual wheels?
No, it's not good wheels, it's just a heavy-duty truck. They use it for hauling as well as sanding. I mean, obviously, it's running pretty strong in the wintertime because it has a sander in the back of it all winter. But they use it for hauling some heavy trailers too.
It's a gas though, isn't it?
It is gas.
You ready to vote?
I mean, they stuck it out with the
Are you ready to vote?
sander and everything in it, so. That's part of the reason it's expensive, this comes with the plow and the sander.
I didn't see the sander in the bid, but would be part of any specs anyway, irrespective of the make or model. So anyway, all in favor of the motion? And all opposed? So it's 4 opposed, 1 for. The bid fails. And I guess the request from the commissioners is that you go back out to bid for all a variety of vehicles with those specs, but that fit
And
the range.
I think the bid should also include the trade figure, so, yeah.
Good idea.
The bid should include the trade, so.
And while we're here, advisory, I don't know that we want to have the extended warranty on it.
I mean, it was separate, well, in the bid.
Not really separate, but they can provide a separate one, but it'll be up for us to choose that at the time of our motion.
Well, I'm sorry, I thought that's what they did. They gave you a price of 70,000 and then a price of 73,000.
Right, they did.
Okay.
We didn't put a price in our motion anyway, so.
No, I was a little confused about the extended warranty. I mean, I've seen that on every one of our
Yeah,
vehicle
okay.
bids, is there's a space to put an extended warranty. Do you want to continue to do that?
It's fine with me.
Okay.
I mean, I think the
It's
reason
an option.
extended warranty is on this vehicle is because of mileage. Typically, those trucks come 3 years, 36,000.
Yeah.
On a cruiser, 9 months, it's got the 36,000.
Right.
So you'd be wasting your money sometimes on the extended warranty. But on a
Right.
vehicle like this, an extended warranty might be valuable because it's not gonna have as many actual miles on it. You might actually get 3 years or more years, and warranty could come in handy on something like this.
But how many miles are on it?
On one of these
The one you
vehicles,
had.
it leaves Scully, and it doesn't go any further than Norwalk most of the time.
But how many miles do we have on the existing truck?
I'm gonna say probably 80 or 90. I mean, we've had those trucks for a while, we've had this 15.
Is there more than one?
Say again?
Is there more than one?
There's two. In the capital budget for the jail, they budgeted to replace both.
One of them's got quite a bit of damage on one side.
So when are we getting the second one?
They have the
Is that in the pipeline?
future, I mean, they thought they would replace one and then over time, replace the other one. They're looking for something more that has a dump quality for next time.
So to go back to the budget process, when the sheriff and jail administration and so forth sat down with me and Patrick, they had not asked for vehicle capital for many years. And they have 2 Dodge Caravans that are old and rusted out that they're using for transport, and they have these 2 older rusted out trucks. So there was a significant amount of money raised in this year's budget for vehicle capital. So,
They have one for a truck and one for one of those transport vans.
All set? Okay, so we'll put that back out to bid. Resolution 24-151 to accept the resignation of Corrections Officer Jacob Staple from the Somerset County Jail.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Resolution 24-152 to approve the hire of John Maloney as full-time county court security. Period.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yep. Second.
Who made the motion?
What's that?
Who made the motion?
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't hear anybody make the motion.
play an auction, just move your hand and do something. Yeah, I make a motion that we do that.
Okay. And Scott second, thank you. Discussion. All in favor? Okay. Resolution 24-153 to accept the resignation of Michael Pike as Somerset County Jail Administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? So go. Resolution 24-154 to authorize the posting of a job opening for Somerset County Jail Administrator.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. All in favor? Good. Resolution 24-155 to approve the hire of Kristen Washburn as Executive Secretary for the Somerset County Sheriff's Office.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Resolution 24-156 to authorize the posting of a job opening for Executive Assistant at the Somerset County Sheriff's Office.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
This is Kristen's old slot, vacated slot?
Yeah.
All in favor? Thank you. Resolution 24-157 to approve the hiring of Jeremy Dill, Tyler Emery, Brianna Sizdak, and Nigel Fine as full-time correctional officers at the Somerset County Jail.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Oh, I do want to ask. How's that make you now? You caught up any at all with the jailhouse?
We have, after this board that you just approved,
Yeah.
we have 3 more in the pipeline, and that that we're looking at right now will be on the next agenda. And with that, we have 5 additional.
Good. Thank you. So, again, all in favor? Thank you. Capital reserve expenditures, unorganized territories, warrants, resolution 24-158 to approve the treasurer's warrant for general funds, Somerset County Jail, unorganized territories, TIF tax revenue and TIF community benefit for a total of
It's on the last page.
over here. A total of $525,229.85.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Let's go. Miscellaneous discussion items, commissioners only. Nothing? All set?
The only thing I was going to say, and I guess we're taking up in August, but I did see the letter that was chiefly addressed to, about my remarks at the earlier meeting about the private road appropriation, and I would just apologize on the record if I made some remarks that offended anyone in that area. She apparently was.
That's reverse discrimination.
And that would not change my mind. I actually made a field trip up there to kind of check out the roads, and that did nothing to change my mind about the propriety of funding private roads. And I would just say that when we get to it, I would argue that the purposes of community benefit expenditures do not encompass, in my view, funding private roads for private individuals. So I guess we'll be discussing that more in August when we...
But for a question, since you were up there recently, were there any posted signs?
Well, was on the one I really took note of was the Otter Pond Road. Is that part of the thing?
That's a different association, the woman that.
Do we fund them?
Contacted you.
Yeah, but is that one that we?
Yeah, that is one that
Because
we-
that has two big no trespassing signs on it. When you drive it, no, well, I'm in trouble here. But I went in anyway, and there's a big stop sign, and it said, stop. This area is under surveillance. So at that point, I figured, better back out of here as fast as I can. And then I did go down the Loon Lane, or whatever it's called, and that, I don't recall any no trespassing signs.
I don't remember any of them on the Kingsbury Pond Association. There's 3 roads that go
Yeah.
down that we.
There was one with a gate on it, but I didn't know whether that was.
That's private. That's a private road, not part of the.
Not part of our deal, okay. And then I went up to the wind towers to see how far away they were. And it's about 2 or 3 miles as the crow flies from the ones that lie to the north, some of which I think are in Penobscot County, am I?
Yeah, there's a whole raft of them across the line in Kingsbury.
And I went over to the wind towers up on Cook Hill, or wherever that is, and I listened for the whoosh-whop of it. I didn't hear anything other than a low buzz. I do acknowledge, though, that there are red blinking lights on those things, and
Yeah,
I assume that's some FAA requirement or something.
I think due to the height, yeah.
In the event that somebody happens to be flying a plane up there at night at a low altitude.
It would be a bad idea.
And I also noted that all those camps don't have any visual,
No,
unless they're out on the pond.
the camps in Mayfield all face pretty much away
Yeah.
from the wind tower. Once you get into Kingsbury, you do have some camps that are on the south side of the pond looking north.
But are those accessed by
Those
all?
are nothing to do with us.
Okay.
They are accessed by Kingsbury roads and.
And then I tried to get into Smith Pond to see, because I assume there are camps on Smith Pond in Brighton, but they're not in the UT, so they just have to
No.
suffer in silence.
Yeah, Brighton actually refused to allow wind towers inside Brighton Plantation. So they have 4 of them that are like 100 feet beyond their border. So they get all the visual
Yeah.
aspect
Yeah.
and whatever noise they create, but they got none of the financial windfall that they can provide.
Right, it was an interesting trip, so. That's all I have, thanks.
No, thank you. Anybody else? Joel, did you have? Okay. Then at this point, we'll recess to execute documents. I haven't done those. No, you go right ahead, I'm doing this, but. All right.
Maybe we can talk about it, transport
Hey, Rob, feel free to, include me as a positive vote for adjournment when you do that. I'm gonna take off.
Oh, very good. Yeah. You got it.
Hope you feel better, though.
Yeah, feel better. Be well.
Thank you very
Very
much.
good.
That seemed to be the smoothest Zoom we've had in a while. Is there a different, like, I see these Zoom workplace, is there a different application? Okay, 'cause
I'm pleased to report.
At my house, and it, I clicked on the regular.
One from the history, so I'm signing these with.
Zoom workplace.
Knowledge, a forethought.
Excellent. Excellent.
Once in a while.
Don't be so vain.
We spent a lot of money on electricity.
You know, my light bill went up $60 this month.
The jet, huge, thousands and thousands of dollars. I guess it's every month, too.
Wow.
It's not about
Do we sign this or will we get it here? Okay.
Well.
not sort of a Chevy guy.
You're a Chevy guy?
Well, I used to be, I'm kind of a Toyota guy.
But still, you need a Toyota truck.
If you want to break, if you want to just keep going, we can just
I don't think
expand. Right
they-
now, you're just talking Ford, Chevy, Dodge.
I don't think Toyota has a model that meets the specs of three.
I should,
Chevy
I should go
does.
look at the truck up there. Dodge has a big truck. I mean, people, there's big sanding trucks all over town.
Chevy, Ford, and GMC will last longer in terms of rust than any Ford.
Selling just like Fords.
I never liked Fords.
My wife was, but
That's
divorced me, don't get a Ford.
That's that.
So it's all right with a Ram or a Chevy or a Toyota?
No, it has to be Chevy mostly.
Huh?
I got this, I have a very unusual truck. It is a rear wheel, two-wheel drive. It looks like a big four-wheel drive.
You got this. These are all the,
They only make them for like, plumbers around town or something.
No,
They're very cheap, too.
They still make
They work great.
two-wheel drives.
The Toyota does not make a lot.
here's the failed bid.
Everyone wants their four-wheel drive.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You buy a pickup truck, why are you buying something two-wheel drive?
Well, I've been here for 50 years, I've never had a four-wheel drive.
You got a four-wheel drive, your car's four-wheel drive.
Well, that's a.
don't mean that.
That's new too, that's new to me. And it's an all-wheel drive also.
Yeah, it was.
You don't get out and lock the hubs like they do.
No, I remember.
The first time.
Snow so deep, I couldn't get to my hubs.
You gotta try to dig through the mud to get there. You gotta walk away before you get
Oh,
there.
that's right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, that's that.
Pretty good.
So, motion to adjourn? We're good.
So I'm liking what I see with the.
418.
What's that?
I'm liking
Good
what I
job,
see.
good job.
Yeah, good job.
Mold with the turtles.
See, I haven't seen any babies behind my house.
So I don't understand it. If
I've seen a lot of them in my area. Yeah, so.
They were in the field from the grass.
Yeah, it's nice. Are we on the record?
We'll bother them, but I haven't. Got the field, I didn't see-
It's recording. Hit that switch, this is. So,